I would just like to say so far on record that if someone could please get out there, find Sam, help him fix whatever he needs to fix in this flippin' world to get 2020 back on track, and he can leap. Maybe get home. Oh boy. Like this year has been like a really horrible Quantum Leap episode.
Yes.
Not that the ending of that he didn't even get home.
No, he just stuck.
He just became captain of the Enterprise that no one had ever heard of. So this is our fifth
This is our fifth episode.
Fifth episode of Cross Format Phantom. I'm JL here with T Morrow and a special contributor joining us today for his inaugural visit to our Fortress of Solitude. Is I'll let him introduce himself. How about that? Go ahead, big guy.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Jake. This is John here. I'm just a regular, typical guy, and we're going to talk about some cool action figure stuff. I can't wait.
John, T Morrow, and I all work together at the same place and all work nights, so of course we don't see anyone else. So we get to talk about things on the occasional time we have a minute or two to actually discuss something that doesn't work, and we found that we have a lot of the same interests. You can't see him, but John's wearing a Masters of the Universe t-shirt, which
you gotta support that.
There you go. My wife actually found that. Yeah, my wife found that shirt at the mall.
If it wasn't for your wife and you letting me know, I would not have this shirt right now.
Well, I will pass that on to her. Speaking of which, she's cooking a supper for T Morrow and I now.
Nice.
I was speaking of collecting. Ask me what I'm collecting right now. Go ahead, ask.
Okay, Jay, what are you collecting?
Oh, that's funny you should ask. I'm collecting Chore lists because I've been off for a couple days.
Chore lists.
So the reason I was a little bit late getting here, not that I'm ever on time, is the lawn needed to be mowed, and I needed to happen today. Apparently,
are those lists like
desperate?
Do you get money for collecting those, or
there's
do you just get less money for collecting
John's
those?
married, he knows. There's other compensation that comes into play. This was my birthday last week.
You get an extra 20 minutes of TV time.
Yay!
And,
I did buy Spider-Man for PS4.
Oh, that's great.
Nice.
For our,
what do you think?
I'll get brief review. I really like the graphics are incredible.
Of course,
A Choir of Angels literally sings whenever you web swing, which I love. Little Danny Elfman throwback there to the score that he did for Raimi's films. And matter of fact, I put that on my MP3 and listen to that when I'm web slinging. So it's incredible. The fighting combat's good. A lot of moves to learn, to remember. I find the movement a little bit jarring sometimes. Like sometimes I'm trying to chase guys and you're trying to swing and you hit a button. No, it zips you over here. That's not what I wanted to do. It's kind of on par with the Superman Returns game they did for PS2 years ago. Like it was just, I would just try and get my bearings just flying up above the city because I was killing more people than I was saving. Not quite as bad here, although I did stop a mugging in front of Avengers Tower and I was kind of like, no one's stepping out, really.
Well, why would
Tony
they?
Stank?
That's awesome. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But overall, enjoyable. It's nice to play a new game. I've been playing like the Uncharted and stuff, which I love. But apart from video games, there's a whole other things that we're collecting, which we're going to focus on today. Timor, you want to tell them what the name of this?
The name for this episode is Collector's Edition.
Perfect. I like that. That is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. He messaged me. That what do you think of this? I'm like, I think it's fantastic.
It is straightforward to the point.
That's right. That's right. It is.
Little pun on words. You got to like it.
Yeah. Right on.
The audience hopefully knows a little bit about Timor and myself. John, would just give a brief background. You don't have to give your exact age, but just, like children of the 80s, 90s, would you grow up collecting?
Oh, yeah, for sure. In the 80s, born in 83, right? So as growing up, so all the stuff that I collect is, and I think a lot of us that do collect stuff, depending on, age and whatnot, okay, let's just dip into this toy line wise. We got Masters of the Universe, we got G.I. Joe, and that's just the beginning, right, of on all the different stuff. And then, so that's... Ooh, Star Wars. I think a lot of people. I think a lot of people end up starting in Star Wars, like toy collecting wise.
Yeah,
and then it branches off, right?
Yeah, it really did. That was essentially the line. You got your Big Jim.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about the Masters of the Universe line and how they really just reused a lot of things, and the fact that He-Man was bigger because Star Wars was only 3.75, and that was because the guy who ran Kenner literally put
his
the
hand
L
up.
on your
Yeah,
forehead.
yeah,
He literally
yeah.
did this when they said, well, how big the toys are going to be? And he said, this tall. So the guy who ran Kenner at the time, who used to run who used to work at Hasbro, or was it Hasbro or Mattel? It was one of the two.
Yeah, I think it was
It's Mattel. It was Mattel.
Yeah, Mattel passed on Star Wars figures. And Kenner took that. Toys That Made Us. There's documentaries you guys can dig in more there.
There's so many, right? Yeah.
Go to Netflix.
Yeah, go to Netflix.
Yeah, go to Netflix.
There's some great stuff there.
And if
Great
any
stuff.
of you say there's nothing to watch on Netflix, I need your social life because I can't catch up on stuff, and I literally just watch stuff all night.
Yeah,
And I
and then the
still can't-
rewatching. And
Oh,
then,
yeah.
you know, they were rewatching,
Oh, yeah.
especially like Toys That Made Us.
Toys That Made Us, yeah.
What was that? I think I've seen it like 4 times now. Just what am I going to watch tonight? I'll just watch this again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
that's
just put it
that-
on, right? Yeah.
That's a great show, and that's a show that is literally geared towards that mentality, right? Like, where is collecting now? The people who grew up like we did playing with these toys.
Yeah.
Now some of them, I think NECA or Super 7. The gentleman who always.
Now is it Randy Falk from NECA, the guy with the long hair?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Randy. Yeah. He's
That
from
guy,
NECA,
sort of, I'm going to make these, but I'm going to make them look cooler. I've got the Chris Reeve Superman NECA.
Yeah.
I've got 2 of them. I have one in the box, one in the display case. I can't say I think it's the most playable thing ever. It's a little kind of jarring to pose, but the detail on it is
sculpt is
amazing,
there.
right?
Yeah,
And that's
right.
kind of where
Yeah.
things have gone. I mean, Troy's generally a gamer, but you've got a few collectible statues and such, right?
Yeah. I got like the new 52 of like Superman. Like that's like I look for Superman all the time for like collecting wise,
Is
but
this
I
proper?
can't actually decide on how I like them to look, and it's been
And that's
hampering me.
where the
It's been
collection
hampering me
starts. Yeah.
on collecting Superman stuff because every time I go in to look, I'm like, I'll go, ooh, Superman stuff. I go over there, I'm like, I don't like how it looks like that. I don't know how this face looks weird. I don't know.
Oh yeah, sculpture.
Like, I don't like how they like pose them. I'm just like, and it just on and on. The only one I literally have is like the new 52, and it's like there's 5,200 of them they made, right? So
Right.
I have one of them, but that's the only Superman
Now that
actual
is,
statuette I have.
statue-wise, right?
Statue,
Okay,
that's a
so
statue. Not toy.
not
wise.
Well, wait till you get a
articulated
wife
pieces of
and
plastic.
kids and
Yeah.
house,
I
and then
used
you'll
to
find
have-
you're even more choosy about what you're spending your time on.
I used to have
yes.
like the cartoon Justice League cartoon.
Oh yeah,
Right?
yeah. From the animated
yeah, like
series,
the animated series.
Yeah.
I had a whole like the whole Justice League.
That's
Yeah,
all right. That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
It was pretty cool, but they were like the big ones, right? So,
Okay, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So they were pretty dope.
I remember. I think it was 90s.
15-inch, I think.
The 90s, when Toy Biz
Oh, yeah, the Toy Biz.
was doing. Oh, that's another great toy line.
Biz. Yeah,
The X-Men, the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man. Although I had everything. I remember I had Omega Red. He had those cool tentacles you
Yep.
could attach on, and three or four different Wolverine figures, and none of them really got the claws
Right.
great. Some of them had those 3 little claws that look like.
The
they're
really
curved
narrow
together.
ones.
together and
Yeah.
they come in and out, and it's
Yeah.
cool because you could stab other toys with it,
Yeah.
which you could do when we were kids, and it was
But they
considered
retracted,
okay.
right? They went back
Yeah.
into the forearm,
They went back
which
in,
is awesome. Yeah.
and then you had the Weapon X one where they were mounted. They were actually spread out, but
Yeah.
they weren't really sharp, and you couldn't take them off.
Yeah.
I remember friends and I used to. Did you ever do this? You ever sit with your friends and decide what you would do differently if you made this toy? And I'm talking when you were a kid, like not right now. I'm talking like I used to do it with friends all the time. We used to sit there and be like, yeah, the Gambit figure's cool, but I don't know that the coat looks neat. The coat was this plasticky vinyl thing, right?
I don't
Yeah,
think back
yeah.
then I cared much about that kind of stuff. And detail wise, I just like, it's amazing. And then I would smash it into another one because he was, beating him up. But that's about the extent of, this looks cool,
Well, I
smash.
used to
Yeah.
buy 2 of everything, right? It was one figure that's nice and don't play with it, and the other that I would just
Oh.
the hell out of, right?
No.
I was fortunate enough. Thanks, Mom and Dad, for they were. My mom was a nurse. My father was an oil field superintendent. So I mean, I didn't see my parents a lot, which prepared me for night work. Great, but
Little did you know.
little did I know. Yeah, but the plus to that, in an odd way, is I was a real spoiled kid.
Yeah, no, I
And-
didn't have a lot of toys.
Yeah.
I'd always be out of like buddies, parents.
Oh,
who
yeah, okay,
would have
yeah,
bought there. I'd always be that guy. I'm that kid that was like, oh, yeah, that's a cool toy. Can I play?
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, with me, what it was is because when you're a kid, you don't know.
no.
You
No.
don't know. You don't know. You just
that's
didn't
right, yeah.
I would get I remember I got a Man at Arms for Easter one year,
Right.
along with the Easter egg hunt,
Yeah. Yeah.
and my cousins didn't, and I just couldn't wrap my head around why. Like, what do you mean you didn't get it? Like, you just don't understand when you're a kid.
Yeah.
But there were things that I did not have. For instance, the Millennium Falcon eluded my childhood. Every year I asked for it. And this is small town, farm town. The local mall got plenty of toys, but by the time I was old enough, the Falcon was off production, and big toy stores in Edmonton might have it, but that was it. And my parents just weren't going back and forth. It wasn't until I was 17 and they did the Power of the Force 2 line that I got it. I still have it. Yeah. It's in the box. Like, it's opened and played with. I put it in the box, and it's still my mom's writing on the front of the box, "Happy 17th birthday." And I remember my dad, wanted to get me a motorcycle. Yeah. And I said, "I want the Millennium Falcon." And like, you're used to seeing disappointment in a father's eyes to some days, but I got to tell you, the look he gave me was like, "Are you serious?"
He wants what?
Yeah, he wants
a Millennium what now?
Stop playing with toys.
Is that a motorcycle? Millennium what?
No, he knew what it was. He knew what it was. But the funny thing about that is when I was a kid, my parents, stop playing with toys. What are you doing?
Right.
But, I stopped playing with them, but I still collect them, right? And
right, yeah.
And now we're at that point, like, we're all 40, 41s, 41 last week. But the funny thing about that is now these Marvel movies is another great example. People grew up with this stuff, and now these are the individuals in a lot of cases shaping.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like Jon Favreau, The Mandalorian. In my opinion, that's exactly what I wanted out of Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And you're getting it. And it's like, that's a guy who is a fan who can be a professional. Like Kevin Smith, bless him, is great. But sometimes I think he sort of panders a little bit too much to the studios. He doesn't say no quite as often as he used to, right? He's got more skin in the game, so to speak. He's he's still the fan guy. You bring him in, he's your fan
that's right.
connection.
Yeah.
But Favreau's gonna say, no, I don't really think that's. He wanted to do his Boba Fett movie, and they said, well, you can't do that because Boba Fett's, we're doing this and this, and whether rumors are true or not, he shows up in our second season, we'll find out, I suppose. But
that's what they say. They say he's in it.
We'll see what happens.
But the great thing about it is you got Dave Filoni, who also worked with George. So you've got a lot of George's ideas still finding their way in, while John sort of steers it in a way, because the guy did Iron Man 2, Jungle Book, Lion King. Like, he's a very accomplished director, and he's a good actor. So he knows both sides of the camera, and he knows them really well.
True. Yeah. True.
Yeah.
And that comes around to guys who collected toys, and now they're designing them.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, you look at the sets in The Mandalorian;
they look like they came right out of the toy, man.
That's a Kenner play set. Because the way this looks, I mean, it looks out of the old school Star Wars movies.
Trooper transport in there, like the TIE fighter in the season finale there. That's right. Yeah. It's like, hey, we're not going to do a new TIE fighter. We're going to do an old one, but it just does a different feature you haven't seen. Like, you don't need 20 different. Yeah. The more stuff you introduce, the more weak it seems. Like the Star Destroyers with the Death Star lasers on the bottom of them and Rise of Skywalker. I'm like, really? Like,
you look too at like when Force Awakens came out, all right, and First Order has black TIE fighters, and as a collector, and I'm like, wow. That made the TIE fighter so much meaner looking. Sharp. Yeah, man, does that ever look mean?
Special Forces one with that stripe down it, with the hyperdrive and the gunner and the rear gunner. I thought that's a great evolution.
Yeah, that's right. They kept the right design. They know that they kept the design I like. Yeah, and they just changed the paint. And man, does that ever look sweet?
And it's toyetic, which is
absolutely
a fun term that the guy who made Star Wars actually coined. Toyetic.
Yeah, toyetic. Yeah.
The thing about that is, you guys, we were talking about this the other day, John, you and me at work. The Millennium Falcon toy I have is, in so many ways, I think it's superior to the toys you can buy of the Falcon now.
Yeah.
The last good one they had was in 2010 called the BMF, the Big Millennium Falcon, which I picked up. Yeah. And it's not often I get looked at with reverence. But, working a full-time job for years, didn't have a house yet, had some money in the bank, dropped 2 C notes on a giant Millennium Falcon with a Han and Chewie figure.
Oh, for sure.
These guys showing up first thing at Toys R Us. John knows what I'm talking about. Lined up. Yeah. And walk in. These guys are grabbing Clone Wars figures, which don't have as much articulation and are very animated in their styling.
Yeah.
And I walk over and I grab this big box. And these guys just looking at me like, whoa.
Man, I wish I could get one of those.
Yep.
Mom, can I get one of those, Mom?
This thing was huge. I took a picture of it next to my old Falcon, which is the same mold that they had from the 70s. Yeah. And like the entire Falcon is as big as like the circular section. And then the mandibles are like an extra, like you can't take them off though, but it's not a place that you pick up and fly around.
No,
right?
So you just lead on something.
That's just
the same with the Naboo Starship. You can sort of pick that up a little bit, but it's really made it extended out. Places that were made more to sit and play with, whereas the Falcon that I've got when I was 17, that it was a reversion of the original one. That one you could play with, or you could pick up and fly around.
Yeah,
that's right.
But now, more like stationary, playable inside.
Yeah,
you can
that's right.
You put your Chewie and your Han in the the cockpit, and you talk it through like, oh, we're gonna fly. Right.
Oh yeah,
and you're like, you're not actually, but you're like, you're gonna put everybody else inside.
Except
of it.
The figure line that came with Power of the Force too, with the giant Luke with the giant muscles.
Yeah, he was ripped.
Han,
they're all ripped. They were ripped. Yeah,
only Han or Chewie fit in the cockpit. Only one person did because they were made for the 3 3/4, right? So
5 points of articulation.
The BMF.
Luke Skywalker ripped.
He was ripped.
It looks like the poster. Like the poster always had Mark Hamill as the big chested guy, and of course, he doesn't look
he's
like
not
that.
Big, well, he's awesome, but not big chested like that.
What a piece of junk.
Well, well, play sets like when they had like in the 80s, like Grayskull.
Yes,
and they had
when play sets were play sets
based off the Kansas Navarone play set.
You get that aircraft carrier from G.I. Joe.
The
flag,
the myth. I'd never seen one in person.
I've never come across one.
I've never seen one in person.
I've seen one in person.
I never saw one in person, but it was this myth. Guys talked about it on the playground. It was this thing like, that's not real.
Yeah.
It's not real. No, it's not real. Are you sure? No, it's real. My friend's got it. Yeah, sure, your cousin's got it.
I saw one in
Peter.
In a garage sale.
Yeah.
I saw one in a garage sale years and years ago. I never bought it in like a time.
I've heard it's such an immense playset to have, but yet Retro Blasting, Michael on Retro Blasting, that's a channel I watch. He's restored one and he's actually reinforced the bottom of it and done a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
To actually, because he's like, first off, it's about as big as this table, I think.
Yes.
It's huge.
It was giant.
And yet,
it was huge.
The fact like
and all the geos you can run around with. It was crazy.
One guy, I can't remember what podcaster or someone I listened to said he straight up was at his friend's house. And this kid had the flag, and this kid straight up walked across the room, stepped on the deck, stepped over it. He's like, that's how massive this thing was. I never had the flag. I had G.I. Joe headquarters.
Okay.
Because I wasn't huge into G.I. Joe.
Right.
Yeah. Like I said, I had some lines, but other guys down the street had other lines, right? So I might have been spoiled and had a bit of everything.
Yeah.
But they had one line, but they had
a lot.
Like Rolling Thunder.
Okay, yeah.
I had the headquarters in the variable lines that came out around the same size.
Yeah.
I think the last time G.I. Joe did like a real to retail line was I think when the movie came out.
That's right. Yeah, Rise of Cobra. Yeah,
they were a little bit taller, I think, but that was about it. Like just a touch taller.
Yeah, I had some of those. They're nice. They're articulated better, right? They're definitely updated. Yeah, paint scheme's good. Yeah,
I had I had Grayskull and I had the Thundercats base. I got those in garage sales. They were like a buck. I had both, so it'd always be like, I'd have Thundercats fighting, He-Man and stuff, or they'd all join in one base and it'd be a different, you
reuse it. That's
Ninja Turtles eventually, but
Ninja Turtles and Toxic Crusaders.
Those. I saw your post about the Toxic Crusade Toxie.
Oh yes, Super Sevens dipping back into they're using the Masters of the Universe Classics buck, right? So it's a basic body. That's the scale, anyways. Okay. And we get Toxie. They're throwing a Conan. I think just got released, like from the comic book Conan.
What is best in life?
So.
Crush your enemies. Before you. The lamentation of the women. So we could keep going on about the lines we collected and what we had, and I had an AT-AT and I had this and I had that. And Fright Zone, Slime Pit, which Mattel paid out a large amount of settlement money for carpets that were ruined.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Not to mention the Ghostbusters stuff.
The ectoplasm,
everywhere. It was everywhere.
I can still remember the way that stuff smells after.
God, me too. I was just thinking that.
Play-Doh. Have you recently?
Oh yeah,
got it.
My niece actually has some now, and we were playing with it the other day.
It was. Whatever, my sister thought it'd be funny to give me this Play-Doh for Christmas because she put her Christmas gift was money and she put it in a different one. So she So I opened this thing and oh my God, this smell that came out. I was like, oh my God, is this what it used to smell like? Because Jesus.
It might have been.
I thought it was cool, but now I'm like, no, this does not smell.
Well, it's not toxic.
Good,
now.
yeah.
Back when we had it was questionable.
Yeah,
like,
there's
it was like
so
eating
much
paint.
stuff we played with. Yeah, the slime, ectoplasm slime. Is it wrong that I want them to bring that back? Like they're releasing real Ghostbuster figures, which John and I have talked about because we keep trying to. They're showing up in Walmarts in Canada now. Yeah, that's smart.
Waiting.
That's a brilliant maneuver, brilliant move. And the fact that the animated Ghostbuster figures that have the animated style, a guy Geek Dad Life just did a review on them.
Okay, yeah.
And he said they're nearly identical to the scale of real Ghostbusters. So you could actually use them with your real Ghostbuster stuff if you still have it.
Okay, yeah.
Which I thought was great.
That's cool.
You know, I do plan on getting some of those. John and I have
when
talked.
they drop, we've been looking,
just to have them because you know, even if I wasn't doing the Ghostbuster, charity stuff part time, I'd still be doing that. I am, for anyone interested, if you want a metric ton of loose Star Wars figures from various, I don't have any vintage, just Power of the Force and onwards. Please message us on the Facebook group and let me know because I'm trying to offload some figure. I don't believe I just said that. But I don't. Here's the thing. I don't have kids. It's unlikely that I will. I've got a niece. She's fantastic, smart as a whip. I don't see Star Wars figures being in.
How do you know? You can wait. You can wait and see. You can wait and see.
I can, but I
know lots of people who weren't into something and then later on became into it. So how do you know?
That's another. Yeah,
how do you know? You don't know.
I want them to go to a good home. I don't want them to go to someone who's going to wreck them and wreck them. Just somebody's going to collect them and someone's going to, at least because there's literally a shoebox full of weapons.
Yeah,
a shoebox full of loose lightsaber toys. Like everything is there.
Nice.
It's just. As much as I want those things, they take up a little bit of space in the house, and there's just I'm at the point now where I'm starting to collecting like art pieces and some statues.
I love art,
and
I have so much.
There's like we got a house now, which I seem to spend endless time repairing, but I've got walls. I want to put some art on it, and it's not that I don't want the toys. It's just I've had my fun with them.
Right.
And realistically, talking about the G.I. Joe line.
Yes.
The Star Wars figures, for the most part, are wall hangers now. They're peg warming. Like you can go in there now and they're peg warming. All the 5-point articulation that they did since Force Awakens came out, which I get from a marketing point of view, makes sense because they're a little cheaper than the fully articulated version. But right now they're going for like $2-3 at a Toys R Us.
Just to get rid of them.
Just to get rid of them.
In here. Yeah.
And in my opinion if you guys would have just done that from the get-go,
you
would have made your capital back based on volume alone. I'm not even talking about, hey, well, we've got to charge this much for each figure because this much work is in it. You charge $2-3.
Yeah.
Everyone will collect them because they're cheap as borscht.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you get parents and grandparents going into the local toy store.
There it is.
Hey, man, $2-3. And you're not grabbing one.
You're grabbing like
you're going to grab the.
Do you think Grandpa, who Grandpa like our Grandpa in the war? My grandpa,
right? Yeah.
My grandparents, $6 was a lot for an action figure, but back then you could get 2 G.I. Joes for $6-7.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And now, obviously, that's not the case.
No.
You think Great Grandpa is walking down the toy aisle with his niece? First off, trying not to be dismayed at everything he's fought for freedom to see this is what you're doing with it. But, she wants an action figure. Oh, there's a Fortnite action figure. Well, it's $30. What?
That's right. Why is that?
Grandpa's going to have a heart attack.
Exactly. Right in the toy aisle.
$2-3. Grandpa will buy you 2-3 of those.
Yeah, that's right.
Even when you go into like cons and stuff and you're like passing by, I'm a big statuette person. I love statuettes.
Right. Yeah.
But they've gotten to the point where it's almost pointless to collect them because I'm not willing to spend $800 on a figure that I've seen at the con for like 5 years, and every year somehow the price seems to go up, but nobody seems to be buying it.
Oh yeah, because
no one wants to pay that much money.
That's right.
Drop the price to like reasonable $100-something, and you watch that thing fly off the shelf. You watch it.
And then they'll buy something else.
Right, because that's more like
Sundays. Sundays are the deal days at cons because guys want to pack up less.
Yep, that's right.
There was a con, St. Albert used Eek, I think it was.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was like 2-3 years that it went.
Yep.
I went there dressed up in my Aragorn kit one year, and my kit wasn't even close to being done.
Yeah.
But the guy running this one booth was like, dude, that looks incredible. I said, oh, well, thanks, man. Appreciate that. You know, like he can tell, like, I can tell you, you know, my wife did all the work on the suede jerkin and everything's replicated. Guy who did the boots for the movies, did the boots unofficially. And he had this statue of Aragorn on Brago, the horse from Return of the King.
Oh, yes.
He's got Anduril in his hand. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And he goes, and I'm looking at it, and he goes, if I can get a picture of you holding the box in front of my sign, I'll give it to you for $300. I said, sold.
Yep, that's right. Yeah.
It was retail at the time, because I'd looked online. It was retail at the time. It was like $400-500 retail, 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So I'll give it to you for $300. I look now, it's like $900 to buy new. So I was like, yep, he wins, I win. A guy we used to work with, John, he runs a collectible shop out of my hometown now, collectible shop.
Oh, yeah.
Which when I get the Addy and stuff, I'll throw it on a Facebook page or one of the casts here if people are interested. But he does like card tournaments and stuff in his business now, which is weird because as soon as I move, that's when all this stuff happens. But I was doing the Ghostbuster thing one day at the Edmonton Expo, and he had a booth there, and I said, hey man, do you want me, I'm in my kit, I have my proton pack on and everything. Do you want me to hold like the Ecto or something that you're selling in front of your sign? And he was like, oh my God, yeah, please. And he said he got a lot of people asking about, oh, that's great. You know, like just those little fan nods can get you so much in terms of collectability. But you're right. You know, the guy dropped the price. He knows I'm going to take it.
Yeah, that's right.
He knows he's got a sale.
Yeah.
He can make nothing because it's going to sit there. No one's going to buy that.
No. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Or the guy that is going to buy it
and
dressed up as Aragorn.
And you are, that's
you know,
yeah.
And like, you throw 300, you throw the number at him, bit like a fish.
Right.
Yeah, I maybe I could have haggled more, but I was like, I'm not trying to take advantage of the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Sure. So he probably made at least what he had to pay for his table. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And everything from that point is profit.
Yep.
So yeah, those peg warming figures, those fly off the shelves because when G.I. Joe was there, you know, sadly we're at that concept. You and I have talked about this, John, where I really get a little dismayed because you can only, and we'll get to a line. We'll get to a line coming to retail pretty quick, but you know, you have to go online. You have to go to Big Bad Toy Store and eBay and this and that and this. For a while, at Brian's Toys is where I used to get all my Star Wars figures.
Yeah.
And then he just apparently stopped selling Star Wars figures, but he wants to buy everyone's. Weird. I don't understand, but you get that because people just don't buy them at a retail setting anymore unless you're guys like us.
That's right.
And when G.I. Joe came out, they were peg warming for years, and I couldn't understand it. I was like, "This is great. I'd love to play with them." And then it hit me. Well, I'm not going to buy them to play with them anymore.
I'm going to buy them, right?
I'm going to buy them to collect. And you've got definitely a group of that, but I don't have kids. And
I don't have kids, but I'll collect the shit out of stuff.
And I do have kids, but I more or less am at the toy store for myself.
Pretty much.
With the kids to tag along.
Quick question on that. Because you don't. When you're toy shopping and the kids, like, what do your kids like the toys you like? Like, do you have Star Wars toys for the kids and these are daddies? Like, how does this work?
My son, he follows. If I'm into Star Wars, okay, I go through stages. I'm not gonna lie.
We all do.
And so when Star Wars is hot, they're putting out new Star Wars figures. Okay, I'll dabble. I'll go look at some Star Wars figures. You know, or I'm trying to get the newest ones that come out. Right.
Yeah.
But once again, I am a 6-inch size, collector, 1/12 scale, right? So I'm looking at the Black Series 6-inch figures, right, and stuff like that. Not so much the 3 3/4 inch anymore. So if he sees a few figures, depending, he's okay. But my kids nowadays, kids just don't play with toys anymore. I'll buy them. Yeah, I mean, my son, he'll watch me and I'll do some posing and maybe I'll snap a few shots and throw them on Facebook. And I love to try and get into more toy photography stuff, right? Dioramas, all that stuff is amazing. There's some awesome guys out there doing, articulated figures or toy. Well, it's insane that's out there.
Little sideline. I mean, it's not 6-inch, but I go to Star Wars celebrations. Yeah, I go to not all every year, but I've gone to quite a few of them. And what's always incredible is that there's always groups doing dioramas there.
Right.
There was one on Celebration 5 in Orlando that I went to. It was, I think, one of the anniversaries of Empire. And they did the Battle of Hoth.
Oh wow!
And
Yep.
I don't mean they did one little piece. They had probably what is, I would guess, like a good sized room, like this huge, exhibition room, big middle of it, huge. Like it's got to be 5-6 ping pong tables wide, and probably 10 or 11
deep
down.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they had at the one end, it was all the terrain. They dug the trenches.
Oh.
They do some polyurethane foam and stuff for the snow.
Yeah.
They had the full, because this is back when Vintage Collection had, or like they had the AT-ATs, and I don't care
yeah.
if it's
Yeah.
AT-AT, whatever. The full size, like the BMF Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
They had
Full
that.
size.
Yeah.
AT-AT.
Yeah.
They had a big Falcon there,
Yeah.
and it was in a hangar. So there were levels to this thing.
Oh man.
That's dope.
There were levels to this thing. So to actually, to look at what was in the hangars, like in the catacombs, you actually had to squat down a little bit, and you had to
Take a
sort of look.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's
And
amazing.
it was just, they had like 3 giant walkers out there. They had snow speeders on little clear tubes. They had the
Right.
trenches. They had a giant, like I can't explain. I'd see if I can find pictures of it and show you guys. The hangar was huge, and they had this giant Millennium Falcon in there. And then they have X-Wings, and then the catacombs.
Yeah.
And then they like just troopers coming in one end and rebels flying out the other. It was huge. And every celebration they do this. They've done ones for, they had one for like episode 1. They had, I think Jedi Council Chamber, which I thought was
cool.
neat.
Yeah.
And one was incredible. It was a Hasbro booth that I was at that year when I looked. And they had the Battle of Geonosis.
Oh yeah.
And
okay,
another
yeah.
had like an episode from the Clone Wars. So they had like these giant gunships and like this pit. Like it was,
Because I seen
was
one, I can't remember which, it was at San Diego Comic-Con, just on one of the YouTube videos I was watching, and Force Awaken come out, and they were promoting the new Force Awaken figures, and they had the hangar all done up with the TIE fighters, their new TIE fighter that's scaled for the 6-inch figures, that big thing.
the
and
Resurgent. The Resurgent.
Yeah,
nice.
it was just pretty
Sick.
awesome. Yeah, it was sick. That's all there is to it, right? But
Speaking of Hasbro, we should probably be getting a big influx of Hasbro toys coming soon, because Galaxyland is changing into like Hasbro Land.
It's already sort of done that.
Has it switched?
It's a little bit like there's a ride in there. It's a new ride, and it's all camouflage painted.
Oh,
like I
okay,
actually
yeah.
want to go on it. It spins you around, and then it spins you upside.
Yeah.
Oh,
My wife's a big thrill ride person.
I've seen
and
that thing. Yeah, I've seen
yeah.
my
And that's
kids
like-
went on that ride.
Did they? How old
Believe
are
it
your
or
kids?
not, my daughter just turned. Well, she's 13. My son is going to be 11.
Okay, well, next time I go, the wife's going to make me go on it.
Yeah, I think I got video of them on there. We didn't know what this ride did, right? They're like, so we didn't know. And then when it just started to go upside down, I'm watching my kids, I'm watching my wife at the same time, and we're like,
Are we gonna have to- okay, stop,
we're gonna have to
stop.
stop the ride. They were the only 2 on the ride at the time.
Oh.
But they made it through. They made it through the ride. I was
That's
blown
sweet.
away. But I know the one you're talking
Yeah,
about.
and that's
Yeah.
painted like a GI Joe color
Yeah,
scheme.
That's right,
because
yeah.
like they're like
Hasland,
supposed to be
yeah.
changing all the like whatever like weird alien thing was. I don't know what the hell its name was, but changing all this stuff to like actual like
Yeah.
Hasbro like stuff. So like
Yeah.
you're getting like
Yeah.
the toys from Hasbro, GI Joe, all that
Yeah,
kind
well,
of
the
stuff.
rumor is because in the Ghostbuster community I'm in, the rumor is they're supposed to do some sort of haunted house that might be Ghostbuster themed, right?
Oh,
Because
that's-
Hasbro has
that's
a license
cool.
for Ghostbusters.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
see, that's
what
pretty dope,
doesn't
though.
Hasbro have the license to now?
A lot. Apparently,
you know,
He-Man.
He-Man is luckily Mattel is hanging on to that.
They're hanging
Which
on to
they
some
should.
things.
But
But
Hasbro's done some really good things, like the Ghostbuster, the Plasma series. Like I'm not a 6-inch guy, but I
Yeah.
like that idea for the collectors like you guys.
Yes,
I
yeah,
like the real Ghostbuster return figures, the nostalgic. Even though the plastic's a little different and the packs don't, you can't buy a new guy and put the pack on the old figure. The pegs are different.
yeah,
But I really, it's like the vintage collection for Star Wars figures. I love seeing that black background with the little oval and the picture of the character and the way it looked from
Yes,
how I
yeah.
remember Return of the Jedi figures, because those are the only ones I remember ever buying in the store.
right, yeah,
I love seeing that. I
Yeah.
love that. Whether it's episode 1 to 9, like when Triple Force Friday happened here
Yeah,
last
yeah.
October. And I went and I bought Rey in one night of Ren. And,
right, yeah. In
the vintage
300
collection.
Yeah.
I was nostalgic to have it. I was
Yeah.
like, there it is.
That's
You
right,
know,
yeah.
I don't know why half these figures are again not made with cloth anymore, but I guess if they're just for collecting,
Yeah,
It
they
makes
tend to go
sense.
with the sculpt now.
Yeah,
But now you start looking at. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Mezco. Are you?
I've
Mezco
heard of them.
Toys? Okay,
Yeah, I've heard of Mezco.
Now Mezco, they have their own line called 112 Collective, right? So they're 6-inch scale figures, but they're all done with cloth goods, right? Awesome line. But they're to me, as I'm looking at them as they're a scaled down Hot Toys. That's, you get extra head sculpts, you get good articulation, and you get cloth goods, right? But they're at that higher end of, you're looking at $100, right?
Oh, okay.
More or less, right? So I have a couple in my collection. I'm happy to have them. But that's a line I would look at if you want to.
Is that the line? Sorry to interrupt. Is that the line that's doing like the Phantom? I think a Toy Fair or something.
I think NECA showed that.
Was it
they
NECA?
showed? Yeah, it was NECA that showed the.
And they're doing like the Max Fleischer Superman. They're doing like Superman versus the Mechanical Monsters. They're doing a little collectible set of that.
Huh.
And I can't remember if it's Mezco or if it's NECA. I think it's Mezco. It's only about yay big.
Right. Yeah. I'm trying to think because I that was at the last Toy Fair. Yeah. In February they showed.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
And I remember going, John, why did you open this rabbit hole? Man?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But NECA's doing some awesome stuff. I love their Godzilla. Yeah. Today they just announced they're doing a King Kong. He's in 7-inch scale, but he's based off of the 1933 movie. So
really?
There's pictures online, guys. If you check them out, NECA, King Kong, he looks awesome. Like I have a Mezco King Kong 7-inch scale figure, extra head sculpt. NECA put in an extra head sculpt as well. But he's based off of, from what I heard, this is the Mezco version, is based off of like a graphic novel or a comic look. Really cool looking. And he does scale good with the NECA Godzillas. He looks pretty cool. But now NECA coming out with their own King Kong, so it blew everybody away. We weren't expecting that. But yeah, the Godzilla line is a good line that they have. That's Godzilla is a whole other thing line wise, because the hardcore Godzilla guys will look at the SH Monster Art stuff. Now I don't know if you guys have seen those. They're highly articulated for Godzilla, and they are based. They look a lot like the suit in the movie, right? The detail is good, right?
Like the newest one.
They've got a lot. Like if you, depending on what movie you like Godzilla, they've generally done a look of that for Godzilla. In the SH Monsters.
That's fantastic.
And you've got the other monsters too. You've got Mothra. You've got King Ghidorah.
Monster Zero.
Yeah, Monster Zero. That's exactly
Godzilla vs. Kong coming out this year, I think.
Later on this year. They were saying this year.
I saw like a thing for it.
I think maybe that's why NECA released this King Kong.
Let's have Superman and Batman fight each other. That's a great idea. It's not a great idea. It's not a great idea to have King Kong and Godzilla fight each other, because you're going to irk one side or another.
Well, you know what's going to happen, right? You do know what's going to happen. They're going to fight, and then all of a sudden something bigger is going to come along, and the two of them are going to team up and fight it and kill it. And then they're going to separate, and they're just going to leave.
And they did that in Yawn of Justice too.
Yeah.
And Batman beat Superman. Can we not? And then he tooled everyone in the next movie, which is how that should have gone. I'm not saying that just because I'm a Superman guy. I'm saying because, guys, it's just a dumb idea.
Right? Yeah. That's like getting He-Man and Thundercats together.
I did that.
I love those two franchises. But at the end of it, they're all going to be on the same side eventually.
Yeah.
So
there's lots of talks. Like Hasbro wanted to combine their G.I. Joe and Transformers, and Mattel wanted
which
to combine.
They've done in comic book wise, right?
Yeah.
And even exclusive wise for figure stuff, right? We've seen the Joes mixed with Transformers, which is cool.
Seen it before.
But
I can't say it's my thing, but it's interesting. And like not everybody needs to have a shared universe. Speaking of universe, Masters of the Universe.
I'm so excited.
So for those who are unaware, and I'll let John give in the details, the line Masters Universe, which has been still around for some years in different variable sizes, like Super 7. I bought one of those 3/3 little ones with like
the reaction figures.
Yeah, the reaction reflection. Those are great. That's a great line too. Yeah. That's a fun little line.
It is, yeah.
But I bought one of those just to have it. I had no intention on going online and trying to find a retro He-Man and paying a mint, because if I'm going to do that, it's going to be for a superpower Superman.
Right. Yeah.
But it's tempting. But then John hit me with this little bit of little bit of wisdom here, and you want to share it with everyone out there in Toyland there, John?
Well, I can't remember what wisdom that was.
It's the particular reveal of a line that's returning to a retail.
Oh yes, we are so stoked for the Origins line. Yeah, the Masters of the Universe Origins line. When they announced that last year, it was at San Diego, right? I think when they made an announcement, and then they furthered that announcement at PowerCon later on that year, showing more of the figures based off the vintage line, but with guys like me that love articulation, we're getting some articulated He-Man figures.
That's pretty awesome.
That supposedly this,
and they're the same scale as the original style.
They are
right?
the same.
That's
scale.
what I love.
Yeah,
I
don't want a 12-inch or 8-inch.
No, they're not 7-inch.
Show the. What was the ad? The Masters Universe show something whose toy. Well, separates the men from the toys. Or what it was. Yeah, the old He-Man ad where he was standing there over all these Star Wars figures.
Exactly, because he towered. He was huge, right?
Yeah, and, I'm so stoked. Like the idea, like the last He-Man figure I bought in the store was a 2002, 2003 series,
right? Yeah,
which I thought was great.
Yeah, redesigned.
That was
but
a great figure.
Yeah,
I was like, yes, the head moves, the arms move, the legs move. This is He-Man.
Yeah,
he's I'm not a fan of the Power Sword design, but
it was
like,
techy.
I thought as a reimagining, I thought it was great. Even the show was great.
And if anybody hasn't watched that, watch that. Yeah, 2002 He-Man. Yeah, it was good.
Great. The 80s show is great for the nostalgia.
Yeah,
but the lore building of the 2002 2003 series is fantastic.
Well, that's what they're doing with the new one.
I hope so.
It's literally a direct sequel to the 80s.
It is. It's supposed to be.
And Kevin Smith has said designs aren't going to change, and Oppenheimer's coming back. He's not voicing Skeletor, but he's back. And the guy plays Mon-El in Supergirl. He's married to Melissa Benoit, married to Supergirl. He's actually doing Adam He-Man. So I'm used to his work in Supergirl. I don't know so much about He-Man, but I'm willing to give it a shot. But the fact that you've got Mark Hamill.
Yes, as Skeletor
coming in.
That's awesome.
Which I think is going to be a crazy mix match of the Joker from the animated series and he's done other voice work.
Well, even Brian Dobson did it in the 2002 series.
Yes,
he's really good too.
He's good too. Yeah, that's right.
I got to meet him at an anime convention once. I was just there visiting a friend.
Yeah.
And I happened to see him there, and I just went over and said hello and said I actually really can't believe I'm saying this, but I really love, Skeletor, and I thought your Skeletor was great. And he said, thank you. That means a lot. He's like, Alan's always so supportive. Because Alan gets, he's still working, right?
He is. And that's right. Yeah, absolutely.
Why we can't, I'd love to get John Irwin back on something. I know.
To get John Irwin to get into a con to go get,
Oppenheimer, I think the Power Grayskull even mentioned he's tried for
him
years.
to get back into work, that would be amazing.
He's got that great, even as an older guy. Give me, you know what? You do this series and you want to do another one after it called King He-Man? And
for sure.
Have him as, I'm in.
Yeah, the character, Eldor. There's,
Fantastic. So with the hiccup with going back into collecting in stores, as much as we're psyched about doing that between Real Ghostbusters and He-Man, is we're still sort of dealing with the pandemic that is COVID and has kept us from doing more than a Facebook update here and there. We'd like to sort of just remind everyone, we're still, at least where we are, we're not at a fully functioning operational rate yet. I know a lot of people are sort of throwing that out the window. There's a lot of other subjects out there going on right now that are forcing people to get together,
which is a good thing.
It is.
Just is a good
for
thing.
Those of you who are, collectors, please it's great you want to support local business. And we'll talk about that in a second, but if you don't need to go to the store, we're still at that point. Maybe don't. If you're there doing errands and stuff, take a run through it. Doesn't hurt. Just wear some gloves, wear a mask, keep your distance. Just be smart. And we'll be back doing this. I do want to talk real quick about the fact that we have a possibility right now, if some of these local businesses can do things a little differently, whether they're big box stores or not, is the reason people started buying stuff online is because local suppliers just didn't carry things, right? Like, they didn't get it. Walmart would get a wave of figures, and then skulkers like John here would get in there,
buy the whole wave.
Get in there and buy the whole wave, and then I go, buying all my adult stuff and take a zip through the toy aisle and there's nothing. And I'm like, God, what do these guys do? And
that was one time, by the way.
Yeah, right.
One time every time.
One time every time.
So, I mean, people have for those, if you have a collectible toy store, we know you have to charge a little bit more for overhead and such. Okay. It's just for those of you who collect, when it is safe to go out there and buy something local, buy local.
Yeah.
You keep the store open, you keep the merchandise in the stores on the shelves and give them a reason to make it. Some people aren't going to go to Galaxy's Edge, Disney.
Whatever.
So they might have to buy some of like the Kyber crystals and holocrons and cool stuff like that.
Yeah.
Online.
Yeah.
Are they going to pay more for it? Yes. Is it cheaper than going to Disney? Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
If someone like me travels a little bit, am I likely to buy it online? No, because I'm probably going to go there and I want the thrill of buying it myself. And that's the other aspect for you folks who do shop in the store is, and John Kimuro, I'm sure, has this as well. There was just a surge of adrenaline that would hit you when you were a kid and you walked down the toy aisle and you saw toys that you'd heard were coming out, or a toy line you didn't know was coming out yet but was there. Remember the Shadow had a toy line that I was like,
oh
my
right,
God, they have a
gas
toy line.
You ever do the gas?
Yeah. Every time I see something,
I do that every time I decide I'm like gonna go to like a toy store or go into like anywhere that has a toy section, and I turn the corner and I don't always know all the toys that are coming out at all half the time.
Right, yeah.
So then when I go down there, like, oh my God, this is a thing now, and then I'll be like. And then I want this, 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 I want this. Oh my God, I need all of this.
I'm glad you brought that up, man, because
it's a great feeling. Give yourself that feeling, guys. It's great waiting by the mailbox. If your stuff comes, there's a whole list of COVID related postage that's not come to my house, but there is, just give yourself that thrill. It's the little things in life. It's like you can wait outside EB Games all day. You pre-ordered your game. You're getting it.
Yeah,
there really isn't a lot in this world anymore where you're not going to, I might not get it. I might not get it.
Yeah,
people lining up at Best Buy the other day for Switches. I just went in to get Spider-Man and I was like, is there like, they're like DS, Spider-Man. Yeah, we got that.
Yeah.
Okay, DS. Yeah. And I was like, okay, what? I didn't even know this was coming out.
Well, every week I go to the comic shop every week now.
Right.
Comics come out all the time, but sometimes you go in there and you're like, oh dang, I didn't know. Like,
didn't know this was coming out.
Like a couple months ago, there's a Masters of the Universe freaking run. No idea.
Oh yeah.
And then I was like, oh shit, issue 1. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Dang, I'll scoop that up.
The best feeling, and it's
next to having children
is there you go. Yes, that's right. And
I don't know.
It is the term finding it in the wild. Is
there it is.
Finding it in the wild,
and that is no better feeling. I can push a button on my computer and add to cart, and okay, that's great. It's on the way.
That's how my wife deals with stress.
Yeah,
add to cart.
Add to cart.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, I feel better now. Yeah. But picking that action figure up that I've been waiting for, or didn't know that was going to hit the market, and finding it at my Walmart or my comic book store that I go to, best feeling. Especially if it's something that that it's a little bit hard to get, and you're like, oh wow, and I got it in the wild. This is amazing.
The real Ghostbuster toys. I've talked about texting each other to find. Okay, if I find it, I've waited every once in a while. I get a text and I'm like,
is this it? Yeah, I'm gonna have a heart attack when I find these in the store.
Well, like literally one time he like texted me like about like some Funko Pop.
Oh, that He-Man pop. Yeah,
and
the slime.
And I was
He-Man,
like, it was early in the morning. I was like sleeping, but I look at my, I'm like, I was like, oh gosh. Yeah. I literally had to get. I got up early so I could like go get them, which was great. I missed the one, but
right, yeah. And I
got the He-Man.
They put a limit on that one because it was a special edition, or else I would have bought both. They had 2 or 3 at the store, but they go, oh no, only one per customer, which I get. I understand.
Yeah, I know.
There's 2, leave one for the next collector, man.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it too. Yeah, if there's a lot of us though, collectors, we will buy 2. One to keep in box if you can, and one to open.
I did that. Yeah, I did that with the Chris Superman, but I got one for Christmas.
Right.
So I kept one in a box, and then I noticed the store there in West Ed that I get some of my collectible stuff at. Yeah. Just was still sitting there.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'll grab 2. I support the business here.
Yeah, that's right. And the way I look at it too, like I'm not going to buy like if there's 5, and I know those 5 figures are hard to get. Okay, I might, if I have the cash, I'll buy 2, and then I'll leave the rest. And for the next kid, because they are toys, or a collector that's going to grab them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But a quick story that happened to me on Force Friday, where I was waiting in line, EB Games, before they opened, right? Because I knew the Force Friday stuff was coming out. The Mandalorian for the Black Series stuff was going to be.
It was
in
one
there.
item. It's all 6-inch stuff.
It's all 6-inch
Yeah, it
stuff.
was
That's
killing
what,
me. Cal Kestis.
So
This is where he goes. This is his jam right here.
So we're waiting, and of course, I wanted to get to EB Games first thing, right before they open, right?
Yeah.
And I knew what day it was, right? Because I'm like, oh man, okay, there is going to be a lineup. Sure enough, there was a line, and it didn't surprise me. There was only maybe about 5 or 6 people in the lineup when I got to there, right at the front of the store.
Yeah.
So I roll up. I'm a happy guy,
Roll up.
and I get out of the car and I'm walking towards EB Games, and there's a couple girls in the front of the line and 2 other guys, and I'm like, okay, I'm like, hey, you guys here for First Friday? Everybody kind of looked at me cockeyed, except for one guy. And he looks at me. He goes, "Yeah, I'm here for the new Black Series figures." Oh, I said, "Oh, me too." Right on. That's good. So we're chit chatting. There's a guy just ahead of us. He turns around, so he's talking to us, right? And he goes, "Well, what's Force Friday?" So we stop and look at him. And we're like, "Oh." So of course,
what the hell are you
nerds,
doing here,
we're
then?
talking. Yeah, like, and so we find out what he's there for that day, and then we find out why the girls were there. They were there. There was some new Funko Pop that came out, and there was some new Joy-Cons for the Nintendo Switch that got released that day. All right, so it wasn't just. So I'm thinking,
Everybody's here.
This is fantastic.
Now you
It's
got
only me
less
and this
people.
other guy
Yeah.
that are looking for figures. I'm bound to get something. And so a store opens up. So the guy that was there for the Joy-Cons and the guy that we were explaining on what Force Friday was, after we get into the store, he wasn't in there to buy any Star Wars stuff.
Right.
This release had the what was it? They had the Star Wars Black Series in the white packaging. That was the only time that packaging was going to be once they for
Variant packaging.
Yeah, and that was the only time you could get
Like
it
the
was that day.
carbonized
Yeah.
style figures.
Yeah, and the carbonized stuff
Yeah.
came out that day too, right? So it was the Sith troopers that were they had there at EB Games. Now, of course, this one guy was ahead of me, so I'm not going to push past anybody, right? I'll wait my turn, right? So and they had all the figures up at the front, and I'm kind of waiting my turn to kind of see what's left. So the one guy, of course, there was only one Mandalorian figure. Well, he snagged that. I'm like, oh crud! The guy that wasn't even there for Star Wars figures, after we told him about certain packaging and this and that, he walked away with 2 Sith troopers in the white packaging, and they actually had 2. He wasn't even there for that, but he ended up picking them up.
Because you guys
and I was
told
like,
him.
"Whoa, what?" because I think that's what it was.
That's
You know,
breaking the code.
Yeah, I was like,
That's-
wow.
That's not.
He obviously had no idea what the code
Yeah,
was because
so-
he wasn't even there for the actual
Yeah,
things.
he didn't know what was going on, unless secretly he knew and he didn't tell us.
See,
but,
here's the thing. Having done a few things like that for Force Friday, the various years due to the Star Wars Club stuff I do, is usually the store will bring us in, like Toys R Us,
right.
and they'll bring us in a little early, and they're always very generous. Like, hey, if you want, we've got stuff out now. If there's something you'd like, take it. We just ask that you don't take an excess of things.
Yeah.
So me and the other members sort of look, of course, some of the guys who are collectors, same thing. They'll grab that variant packaging.
That's right.
But you also have to understand that we're going to spend the next hour out there entertaining and walking the lines. And it's never about what you're in line for. It's about who you meet in line. Because that's how you meet. Like conventions, that's what happens, right? You're queuing anyway. But yeah, you certainly don't explain to someone what the event is and then watch them walk away with 2 things. Like,
That's right. Yeah.
that's insider trading.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty cool, man.
That's
It's gonna sound bad, but like when I
Some
go
douchebaggery
when I go to things, I don't talk to anybody.
No, is that right?
And people will try to like, oh, hey, you here for this? I don't know, just like,
maybe no.
and I'll just look at them like, look at them like, don't talk to me. Are you gonna die? And they just kind of shuffle off and start talking to the guy behind them or something. But like, I don't like if you're there for the one thing and everybody knows you're there, but if there's multiple things,
Right. Yeah.
FYI, just for our listeners, now that if you know what Timoro looks like, just now you know that he's in line. It's just don't talk to him.
yeah, don't
Any other time is fine.
unless I know you, and then fine. But if I don't know you,
But no, that's
what if you say, hey, are you Timoro and you have a podcast? And I'll be like, yeah. Then I'll talk to you.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
Ultimatum.
Keywords.
But I won't talk to you about what's going on and what I'm in line for. But I'll just talk to you in general for other things.
Lesson learned for me.
Lesson learned.
I'm just trying to
No
be
more
happy
talking
and
to people.
friendly to everyone.
I really wish our schedules synced up
Cutthroats.
more. It's been really fun having you on this episode, man. Like, this is
been great.
fantastic.
This is awesome.
We were talking a little bit about going into the store and finding stuff in the wild, and I do have to ask you, both of you guys, when you maybe were collecting toy lines as a kid, and you had enough money to get one figure, but maybe not enough to get another, or mom was like, no, payday, wait till payday, do your chores this week, da-da-da-da. And in the back of your mind, even at a young age, because you've been shattered at this point, because you've seen Empire Strikes Back and know that the world is not a perfect place, you know that human beings are capable of malice. So you realize that figure is not going to be there in 4 days. Have any of you, and this goes for our listeners out there and the people who follow the show too, feel free to put in the comments, have any of you gone into the toy aisle, taken an action figure or two that you were looking for, and gone and hidden it in a completely different section behind a bunch of things? John's laughing.
Who hasn't done that? Let's be honest. I've done that.
I got 2 kids now that help me with it.
Nice.
It's sad. It's so sad. Yeah, a person shouldn't have to do that, but we do it. And I don't care.
But yet, it's something we did as kids. Like as kids, we realized that, wait, I know, like even as a kid, because you know what the other kids are into, right? Whether it be Power Rangers, like feel like trying to hide a Dragon Zord box.
Yeah, that's not.
Well, that's when you bring it to a completely. That's when you bring a toy to the clothing section and you put it in the middle.
Right.
Yeah, the racking. I used to take it to.
I used to hide in those things, right? So
I
used to take it to sporting goods.
People.
Sporting goods. No one's buying 5 basketballs.
No,
There's 5 basketballs.
Right.
Pull them all out. Slide it in. Put it back. I'm glad I'm not the only one, because I used to think like
I do that now though.
Well, it's funny. I know we're not the only ones, because there's other times where I've pushed stuff aside and I've found buried figures behind other stuff, and I'm like, I know what this guy.
I know about this. I'm gonna take this, buy it just cause.
Yeah.
You just want to buy it out of spite.
Hey man, I was looking for that one.
But then I thought, well,
it's your turn.
I don't even collect. I was just gonna buy it anyway.
But then I'm like, well, but they did put the effort in to hide it, so just push it back.
Depending on how you feel, to do it just to teach them the world isn't fair, and the other party was like, this was me. Now, how did I feel when I go find this?
And then it's not there.
Or you go there and it's not there.
That's right.
Or somebody from
hilarious, because
the
kids
store moved it back.
Store associates don't generally face stuff as well as they used to when we were kids, I find.
Yeah, absolutely.
God, every day this store is immaculate.
Now
it's like,
it's trashed.
That thing still's there. There's water leaking out of that socket. Yeah, that's fine.
Exactly.
Leaking out of that socket
all
for
this
5
water
years now.
leaking out of the electrical socket. That's pretty safe, right?
And on the other hand of that is some 5-year-old was packing her around, and their parents said, no, you can't have that. And that's where it ended up. There is that as well. But chances are, if it's...
Yeah, I'm always very cautious about buying like perishable food at department stores like that. Because, hey, here's the new, oh, Nickelback's got a new CD out. You're going to buy it? No. And not just because it's sitting next to a carton of milk that someone decided they didn't want, right?
That's right, yeah.
How thorough are the store checks? But they're probably fine. But no one found that. But everyone found the He-Man Origins figure I stuck behind 5 basketballs.
That's right. Yeah. So I could
someone was told to go do their job, and they did it. Damn it.
Who do they think they are?
Oh, what do they get off?
Oh, well, this is great. So just a refresher to everyone, by all means, go out there, collect, keep looking, have fun in the wild, give yourself the feeling. I'm sure John and I will have it with Ghostbuster figures soon, and Troy hopefully will have it when he comes over to my house for supper.
Yes,
absolutely.
Very soon. So, John, you have obviously lots of toys. So how big is your collection? Like, what's the biggest? What's the number?
Like,
what's
the number in general?
One of these days, we're just going to pull over your house.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, I snapped some pictures. I'll have to show you guys after. I took some quick pictures, but like, depending on, like, I got a lot of 3 3/4 inch Star Wars figures, right? And there's probably not as much as I don't know. I'm gonna run off a number. let's see, of all the different, of everything combined, probably, oh man, it's probably like 1,000 and something figures, right? Awesome. Inbox, some, inbox, outbox. I am not a collector that keeps them in box. If I have an idea on how I want to display that figure, she's coming out, Yeah, and I think that there's a fine line there too with guys too. Some it's got to stay in the box. That's how I like it.
Yeah, I've got a few like that. Yeah,
and I have a few figures too that I will not take out.
I have 4
right,
that are in a box only because it's the old school packaging where you have to actually tear the plastic off the front of it.
There's a vendor making packaging that the backboards will come out. Like you can actually take the packaging apart, put it back together.
Yes, we enjoy. On the way here, we were talking about that. Now,
collector friendly
packaging. That's exactly right. And I can't. I think a lot of that started from the. Overseas, like a lot of say SH Figure Arts line stuff, the high end collectibles from there, with the way they package their stuff. You got the extra head sculpts, the effect parts, interchangeable hands. So they just throw it in a box, not on a blister card anymore. You just pull it out there, and then of course, not too long after, you look at Hasbro's Black Series. If you're careful enough, I mean, they're not all twist tied in there. You can take them out of the box, display them, throw them back in there. You're good to go, right? And a lot of other third party lines. There's another line I collect called Mythic Legions. I don't know if
I've heard of that.
Them. Mythic Legions.
I think I'd be right up my alley.
It is. I'm sure it is. They make awesome knight looking figures. They got orcs. They're constantly expanding.
Who makes that figure? Who makes that?
The guys who make that are the Four Horsemen.
Yeah, that's who it is. Okay. That's why I remember that.
If anybody doesn't know who the Four Horsemen are, they started off with
Mythos, Kronos,
Todd McFarlane. They worked for McFarlane for a while, and then they branched off. Now they're the Four Horsemen. They do the sculpts for the Masters of the Universe Classics line. Right. That's who. So now they branched off again, and they've got their own line called Mythic Legions. Awesome line, interchangeable parts. But their packaged figures look like they're in a blister pack. But you can slip the back cardboard out of the plastic and then replace it. It's kind of like a sliding mechanism, And then the accessories, extra head sculpts are in these nice little baggies, and
that's fantastic. It's way better than it used to.
No, that's exactly what it should be.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to put it in a box. There's a box. You want to display it? Display it. The Origins line we're getting.
Yes,
I know the Comic-Con version, you could switch the different heads out.
Yes, yeah.
I don't think this version going to retail has that original He-Man figure head. It just has the Origins one.
You never did it before in the original. You only had the one head and that was it.
Yes.
So now they're going to go back to the same.
But so what happened with this line, with the Origins line, is that they gave you, since it was a Comic-Con exclusive, they gave you the vintage head sculpt, right? And then the new head sculpt that we're going to get on the new Origins line, right?
With the Valiant hair.
Yes.
Which he didn't have on the original toy.
At first, when I looked, I'm like, I don't know if I like that. But as I look at it more, of course I'm going to buy it. But that's not the question. It grows on a person.
I just can't.
It just
can't do it. I'll buy it.
But I know for a fact, I know that Mattel will give us the vintage He-Man head sculpt down the road because they've already made it. It's already there. But if you're not satisfied, if you have the classics line, that heads they will fit on the Origins line, and that's why too I started buying when they came out the WWE figures based off the mashup ones, yes, because they're the Masters of the Universe figures, and it's the same buck they use for these wrestlers ones, that's the one I brought in to show you at work.
Plus note is I'm not thrilled with the way the Power Sword is done on the Origins line. For some reason, the handle is just really thick.
It is. It's thick. Yeah.
John thankfully has an extra Power Sword from another line. He's
from the classic line, and it does look better. Yeah.
But that's another great point too. Is when you got guys who collect things, and you when you were a kid. Oh hey, I you want my Snake Eyes broke. Oh, I got 2. Here's I don't know what the other one. When you were. Your brother's on the battlefield, when you were, when you played He-Man with your buddies, you had your figure, and if you were playing at your friend's house and he wanted to be He-Man, he was He-Man, right?
Yeah.
Right. At your house and you wanted to be He-Man, you got to be He-Man.
Right.
There was that
Decorum, man.
Exactly, decorum. You didn't get in line and ask what we were in line for, and then decide to
these guys are here to get these cool
you want
things.
These autographed? Who to make it out to? eBay.
That's right.
Like things like that. Like there's a bit of a code about it, and like that with props too. Right. Like it's funny. I was over in John sort of lives in my old neck of the woods, and I was over there today with a friend. We're doing some lightsaber sparring.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Cracked her knuckle, and she got even with me by totally destroying the tip of my saber. Of course, she's using like a thick-walled saber blade, which is like 1 inch thick, and the ones I use are thinner. So they're fun for spinning and some combat with another thin-walled saber because the plastic is different thicknesses.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And she's coming out with here's like a kendo thickness saber and Raptor knuckles, and hey, all right, point for Jay. Not long, and she just turns, and we go through a couple of the rallies, and I parry, and the top is gone. Gone. So, but she's like, oh, hey, I got another blade. Do you want to use it? It's that sort of decorum with each other, right?
Yeah.
John and I were talking, hey, if you see those figures in the store, as much as I want the thrill,
right?
We all work schedules that aren't particularly great. You've got kids, you got a family, you got a home, like wife, work. So we kind of have to rely on each other to sort of accomplish all this, as much as I could just go buy now.
Buy
that's
now.
right. Yeah.
But then some of those things you just can't. Like with the He-Man stuff that he told me, with the Funko Pop stuff. Yeah. You could only get it there. You couldn't actually get him on the store. So him telling me about it was epic, so I could go get one. I was before work too. So I went to one eBay, and they were like, oh, I don't have any more. I'm like, God damn it. So
right.
So I raced over to
EB?
Yeah.
Okay, it's eBay. I'm like, we have an office here?
eBay.
I'm working on that.
And then I went to
stole my stuff.
Then it was like what, Skyview?
Oh, Skyview. Yeah, that's my EB games. Yeah.
And then
not the Skyfall.
And then I went to Kingsway. Kingsway is my EB. That's where I get for all my stuff. But
that's the one you wanted to burn down.
Well, they're going to get burnt out. They kind of screwed me on some collectibles, and they're lucky they're still
operational,
able to be operating.
Yeah, you could tell me about that after.
But basically, I ordered like the first class edition for Final Fantasy VII.
Okay,
Final Fantasy VII first class edition. It had Cloud. It was like 7 inches.
Yeah,
and the
from
Daytona.
Players Kai.
Yeah, from Players Kai. Yeah. And the Daytona, his motorcycle from the thing, right? Okay. And I'm like, been looking for that forever. There's like a Advent Children version of a different bike and him, but it's like $350, and I'm like, I keep debating on getting. Every time I see it, I'm like, but this one came with the game and everything else, and I was like, so I went in and I'm like, I want the first class edition. The guy's like, okay, and he typed in first class edition. I put literally money on it. I even have the freaking receipt that says first class edition on it.
Yeah,
cool. I got it. It's mine. Paid. Right. So then another time I went in and I'm like, oh, hey, I want to get the collector's edition of Cyberpunk 2077. It comes with a big cool ass statue. I'm like, sweet. And he's like, yeah, first one in. And I'm like, I'm like, look, I want it, so you better make sure I get it. That's what I told the guy. I'm like, you better make sure I get it. So he's like, I'll put
listeners are getting the aggressive Tomorrow today.
So I'm like, so he's like,
and he's not even right up to the mic, folks. It's just the fire's coming out.
He was like, he put a note in for me. He said, it literally said, and he showed me, he's like, first person to get collector's edition Cyberpunk 2077.
Gotcha.
Like, sweet. So then months later go by, and I'm like, all right, I'll go pay for them, the whole thing, be done with it. And not one of them I got, because the guy's like, oh no, the first class edition is only a Square Enix website exclusive. And I was like,
exclusive. Why do you have it in your inventory?
Then I was like, well, then why was I able to pre-order it from you, like the store? He was like, oh, you couldn't have. And I pulled out my receipt and I showed it, first class edition. So you're gonna get me one of these?
The answer is no.
And he's like, well, no, it's an exclusive. I'm like, then you shouldn't have been selling it.
Yeah.
And then I proceeded to tell him that I would burn his store to the ground,
like the building on fire,
if I didn't get one,
among other things.
And then from me telling him that, then he had this look on his face, and then proceeded to tell me that I might not get the collector's edition of the statue from Cyberpunk 2077, because I was like the fifth person. I'm like, And this is the guy who put it in there. I'm like, you remember when I was standing here and you put the note in there?
He doesn't.
And he's like, no. He's like, I remember you. And I was like, okay. He's like, yeah. And I put it in there. I'm like, yeah. He's like, and it says the first person. This is the first one to get one. He's like, well, no, the first person to get one. If these people didn't pick it up, I'm like, that's not what you said to me. And I'm like,
and
I was like, all right, I'm burning this fucking to the ground.
That's when you hit your limit.
That's always disappointing.
So now I don't get collector's editions from EB anymore. If I'm going to get a collector's edition, I'll just go right to their website to whatever it is I'm getting, because obviously it's pointless to go to EB to get those things because they're a bunch of dicks. So I just go there and just get.
You might want to edit that out, James.
Don't edit that out. Let's put it on their website.
No, don't do that.
But yeah, so I just go there for like regular stuff now. If I need a game or if they have an exclusive Funko Pop something.
Yes, you guys were talking about some stuff that they get there. I didn't know they sold collector stuff. Okay. I thought it was just games.
Yeah, see,
no, they sell lots of things at EB.
Yeah, now they do.
They sell lots of things.
It's not collector's editions.
Apparently not.
Apparently not. No.
Well, they do.
Troy,
they do only if
put the guitar stand down.
Yeah. So that's funny that because I think not so much people know now, but when as me, a couple years back, I'd hit my Toys R Us, I'd hit up my Walmart, and then I'd trickle over to EB Games. Then I noticed that they started carrying figures. All right. So this is a couple years back. And at the time, they not a lot of people knew that, right? And they would have some good stuff. They had some hard figures to get.
They do.
So I started going to EB
Diamond
Games,
in the
and
rough.
I'm like, exactly. I'm like, oh,
like
this
an
is
antique
great.
ball.
Exactly. It's kind of
it's a hot topic.
Yeah, Hot Topic
will
some,
slide some in there you don't know, and then all of a sudden you're walking there like, oh Jesus, what the.
A lot of the Wizarding World stuff we find in there because my wife and I do that too.
It's more now like when you go to their website and it's when you walk into their store now, that's more or less a lot more what they carry. Is
the game section has gotten a lot smaller, and their collector section has gotten a lot bigger.
Rossman had mentioned one day because I was debating. John and I've talked about this. I was debating, the next thing on the prop culture, not prop culture. It's Disney Plus show. It's a great show, but the prop list and thing to do is maybe I'll do the Green Ranger.
Yes, yeah.
Having met him, and it's fantastic guy, his favorite Ranger, the green version, right?
Yeah.
The white is great.
But
my brother had ownership of the White Ranger when he was a White Ranger because we both liked the same guy. My brother, being sweet, let me be the green version.
Yeah.
But I was like, I should do that. I'm like, well, I got to get the dagger. And Rossman, it's at EB Games. I'm like, what do you mean it's at EB Games? Like the video game place? He's like, yeah, they got it there. I saw it there the other day. I was like,
they got a lot of stuff. They actually kind of got to go.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, now you know.
Like, the more you know, knowing is half the battle.
That's right.
I have a lot of like Ubisoft Assassin's Creed statuettes.
Yeah,
I've just about every single one they've ever come up with, except for like I think 2, and I'm just still trying to find them at the stores. Once in a while they show up and I'll grab them. But I have a lot of them. So, but yeah,
no,
I go there every once in a while just to sneak peek at what those. But they have a lot of crazy stuff.
They do
a lot of weapons and stuff. Like they had that 1 year or 1 month. They had like all the
Fallout stuff,
all the Fallout weapons. Like life-size Fallout weapons.
I think they had the Pip Boy there.
They did.
Halloween sells a version of it too.
Yeah, you could have got that on your.
The real good version is there.
Yeah. You could have got that for a collector's edition.
That's right.
Out before I could get there, but you literally could put you open it up and you could put your phone in there, and then you can literally use your phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's right. It worked with the game.
That's the stuff I like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool.
Got a proton pack sitting in my house and lightsabers. They're different collecting focus. Like I said, starting getting art.
Question: like, what's your biggest collection of things at your house? What's the one thing you collect the most of
right now?
Yeah, right now. Like, what's your biggest collection of something?
Yeah,
that's not that's actual collections. Everybody collects those. Everybody collect those, but
biggest. Right. It's probably Ghostbuster stuff right now, just because I'm still doing some parts of the kit for that.
Right. And that's the prop stuff. And
lots of that stuff. But I wanted to do an Assassin's Creed. I'm hemming and hawing about the Green Ranger, and I was sort of dabbling, going, well, maybe I should do a Mando.
Right.
But here's a better question. Okay. Troy, you answer. What's the biggest thing you're collecting at your place?
Right now, movies. I have 879 of them. So movies is the biggest, the most thing.
That was what I used to collect the most.
Movies.
Of, yes.
Yeah. Movies is my
now,
biggest. That takes up most of my.
Now that I share, don't share a Netflix account with Tomorrow.
That's never happened.
I give money for. I discovered, oh wait, all this stuff is here. John, biggest thing in terms of a collection at your home, like obviously toys are big. But
toys are big, and I couldn't even narrow it down.
What do you have the most of in terms of a line?
Oh man, it's gonna come out.
Masters Universe, G.I. Joe, Star Wars.
Masters of the Universe is probably up there. My Black Series figures. I got quite a few Star Wars Black Series figures. Marvel Legends is always that's a staple in the articulated.
A lot of people don't bring that stuff up. The Marvel stuff.
Yeah, the Marvel Legends.
They have a lot of good stuff.
And stuff. And I think a lot, like some people that collect Marvel Legends, they have a lot of Marvel Legends, and the reason for that is because of the Build-A-Figure stuff. So a lot of guys, they'll buy the whole wave just to get the Build-A-Figure, and sometimes they end up selling the figure they didn't like so much, or that character, or they just hang on to it, right? But like you watch some of the guys on YouTube with their Marvel Legends collection, it just blows me away. But like I got quite a few figures in the Marvel Legends stuff, but like I'll dabble. Like I like movie stuff too, right? So NECA is definitely where I go to get my Terminator figures, or like
that was a fun line too when I was a kid.
Toy lines that were based on R-rated movies. That's a whole other subject,
which was epic because they don't do that anymore.
I
name one
Demolition Man had a toy line. We were talking about that the other day too.
And I looked those up too. The Demolition toy lines, they are based on the 90s He-Man figures.
Because I remember them because they're all jacked.
And it's just different head sculpts.
Yeah, that's right.
But that's the funny thing. So movies, obviously, a lot of Marvel Legends, which is good. What? Last question here. You win a contest, okay?
Yeah.
You can have a complete collection of any toy line that was around when you were a kid. Like, and I'm talking from like time you were old enough to play with toys to the time you not stopped in our case, but like vintage or modern. What if you were a company gives you can have an entire line. You can have this vehicles, figures, everything.
Oh, man.
What would it be?
Jeez, that's tough to say. It would be that would be a toss up between Masters and Joe and G.I. Joe, because I love the G.I. Joe figure. Like I love my Masters toys, and I had my Ghostbusters and I had my Ninja Turtles, and and they all have so much in each line. But I always went back to my Joes because they were articulated, right? They had more moving parts, and I was blown away by that, right? So.
Plus, stuff could float and torpedo depth charges.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's right. I'd probably go with the Joe.
That's a huge line to have too. Why wouldn't you?
I'd probably go with that
entire thing.
And
it comes with a flag.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. You can't go wrong.
No, G. What about you?
I'd probably go late 80s, early 90s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, yeah.
Just only because I pretty much had almost all of them anyways. So, and I don't have, our house got broken into and everything was taken. Even our dog.
Sorry.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Sorry. So all that stuff I have never seen since then. So I'd probably go with the Ninja Turtles because
that's why you gotta get on the NECA bandwagon, right? And get the collector ones, right? You'll love them. You gotta get on that.
I thought they were all great. So they all just their arms moved up and down, but I had the greatest time with
the movie turtle versions.
Yes, with the rubber skin. Yeah.
Speaking of, I see on Netflix that the turtle movies are on there. So
yes,
the wife and I actually started watching the first one there.
Yeah, I watched Secret of the Ooze the other night.
Yeah. She sort of laughed because she's like, I wore out my copy on VHS when I was a kid, and
it's funny because I had this conversation because we were talking about Netflix having them on there, and me and Paul from work were talking, and
we'll get him on too.
Yeah, but could we actually? I actually prefer Turtles in Time to Secret of the Ooze. I find just a lot of stuff, like just the scenery where back in feudal Japan, there were so many things they got right, like for art wise, or just in the time period that they were in, made it like don't wrong, like the
but a lot of the stuff passed by that point, so like the suits don't look.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And then it wasn't. They didn't have. They didn't have the original guys who were in the first two.
Yeah.
doing the third one. So, but just in like story wise and like, I guess like time period, made Turtles in Time better just because like they got so many things right in being in feudal Japan. No wrong. Like,
is it Turtles in Time or Turtles Back in Time? I think Turtles in Time is the
Turtles Back in Time.
Is the game.
Is the game. Yeah.
Sorry, Back in Time. Sorry,
Big Apple. 3 a.m.
No, you just got to say Turtles 3.
Turtles 3.
know.
Yeah. Turtles 3. Turtles 3.
No, that's good. The whole turtle line. That's.
But yeah, no, we did talk about it. But
fantastic.
There was some good. He made some good points. I made some good points. But yeah, just the movies themselves. Whatever. I just enjoy all of them. It doesn't matter. I don't care what people think about it. 3 or not.
Yeah, I like
that's what I love about having you around is sometimes I tend to be a little bit critical and things, and sometimes you're like, man, just be happy. Like, just be happy you got 3 Star Wars movies to watch. And I'm like, you know, you're right. I would have been happy not seeing these, you know, like whatever the case may be, but
they're still making stuff for Star Wars. They could have stopped.
They could have stopped.
They could have not made anything after after the third one, after 6, right? But after 6, and then that's it. And then you didn't get another single Star Wars anything.
No, so you're always, apart from me being games, you're always usually fairly positive. I would probably take the Masters of the Universe route.
Yeah.
Because I've had a lot of it. A lot of it. And
there's a lot.
But we've talked about this before, a line that if I ever find it in the wild, I'll probably end up paying for the nose to get it. Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future.
Right. Yes.
The toys were just not made well. Like the arms would be loose after like 2 weeks. Like they didn't hold up long.
Right.
And the armor would get scratched. But just that was a toyetic line. But we can maybe next time around we'll talk about like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and the reuse of
Ewok Village. That's my favorite place.
Sherwood Forest.
Favorite place at Ewok Village.
Yes,
right
that's
there.
a great.
I want to see that in the 6-inch series line. I would love to see that scaled.
Remember when they used to do that? They don't really do that much too much anymore, where they don't have like sets anymore.
No,
and if they do, they're like tiny and they're like
Hasbro released the katana, the sail barge that Jabba had.
Yes.
But that was the HasLab thing. In other words, it was crowdfunded. So people could pay. And again, Michael from Retro Blasting, he loathes Hasbro for this. He's like, you bought every toy company there was and ran them out of business. And now you want the people who buy your toys to pay you to make a toy so they can buy it?
That's right.
No. And it's the only project they've done.
Anybody, I would think if that's the case, anybody who put money into it should be getting one for free. Plain and simple. Well, if you're going to crowdfund it
so much, right? Because tooling costs money.
Which is fine.
That's just
but it's like when you do a Kickstarter. So like a lot of times, like a bunch of John from work, he does a lot of Kickstarters for board games and stuff. Right. So he did this one where it had all these crazy figures and stuff like that. He put money in it, and they gave it to him for free. Everything that comes out for that, he gets for free because he put money into it in the first place to make it.
But there has to be a certain amount of contribution there, like hey, $20 towards it. Okay, I'll give you a $20 discount.
Right, but the first people who put all the money into it, and then that's what all the money is. Those people get it free. Anybody else after that? You have to pay for like everybody else.
Well, it's like Ghostbusters, the board game. I thought about getting that, and there was a deluxe edition, and turns out that's like a, it had to be a crowdfunded thing, and part of
is that right?
Part of the run, so to speak, is what we use a lot of things, runs and waves. Part of that. But that's a good point too. Is maybe next time around, John and Sons are all in alignment again, and you're here with us. We can talk about things like that, like businesses asking fans to pay for it. Like Hasbro did the right thing with their Ghostbuster stuff. But they've also, frankly, I'm going to speak here. They sort of, in my opinion, botched a little bit of the Star Wars stuff. The 3 3/4, like I said, the price of a 5-point articulation figure and then the price of a vintage collection figure. I'm not going to pay $25 for a figure with
3 3/4
moves its head and stuff, let alone one that just the head falls off. Darth Plagueis there. What I did, like, to me,
and it had to happen to that figure.
Had to happen to that figure.
He's a hard figure,
which is a hard figure to snag, right? But
that's your part.
Things like that. But we'll we got a barrage of other topics we can bring out next time you're here, but it's been great having you here.
Oh, it's been great being on.
And hopefully this is addictive enough that you're like, yeah, let's do it again.
Oh, absolutely. There's so much more to talk about.
There's tons of stuff to talk about.
Just interrupt you real quick.
Yep.
Kickstarter, since you mentioned Kickstarter, Todd McFarlane on the Spawn line. I don't know if you guys know about that. He started a Kickstarter to get the original Spawn figure he released years ago redone with articulation.
Oh,
he only needed,
that'd be nice.
I think he was only need 100,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
It got funded within 12 minutes.
shocked.
At the end of everything, in Canadian dollars, he made over $3 million.
Yeah,
Just
to
like
get
that.
it to get it done.
To get it funded, and so
that was the line.
Wow.
Real quick, that was the first line where I realized playing with them wasn't necessarily the right thing to do. Like
that's
plastic cape.
That's where the
and,
display
like, I
came
was
into
like,
play.
okay, this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is
McFarlane
cool.
was for that.
Yeah, the sewer play set, the Ninja Turtle sewer play set I had came in handy for a lot of those
Yep.
posings.
Yep.
But it's one thing I should send some pictures. I got when Indiana Jones and Crystal Skull came out, they released figures for that. Hasbro
Right.
released figures, which I was pumped about because you could get
Yeah.
Indiana Jones
indie.
figures finally.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until the Crystal Skull figure him came out that you could buy one where the hat comes off. Otherwise, you had one where the hat was on, or the hat was off, or the
Right.
jacket was on, or the jacket was off, and the sculpt on his face just didn't quite look right.
Yeah. Before
But-
photo real.
Yeah, but lots of well, I don't know about that. The crate Jedi Luke that I have from Last Jedi doesn't look all that epic, but I did some dioramas of that. I used to do it with my Lord of the Rings figures. I should send you some
Oh,
photos
yeah.
of that.
For
Yeah,
sure, yeah.
just that'd be a fun thing to do one day.
Yeah. That's
Let's get together and
that's
do some
our playing
dioramas.
time now. Yeah,
Troy's
that's how-
in.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
He's
right.
in. He's always in.
Who doesn't want to do that?
What do you think? How do you think I got him as a co-host? No one else was lining up at the door. Do you see anyone else? There's literally no
We'll
one there.
blame
Yeah, but I
COVID for
like
that,
this,
yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Oh, yeah.
that's
We-
why I
we do,
asked
yeah,
you. Like,
yeah.
if I asked James in there, is he even looking at us? Is he even there?
He's
He's
around.
always in there.
Yeah, there he is.
He's always in there.
Yeah.
We were already in a controlled booth before he came over. It's good that we don't get callers. Speaking of which, fun little note: there will be some other guests joining us on upcoming episodes. I've got a couple individuals who deal with the Ghostbuster media in terms of a larger scale. They've got their own podcast called the Interdimensional Cross Rip on Ghostbusters HQ. Chris and Troy. Yeah.
Yes.
Troy's actually
Another
a published
Troy.
author. He's written a Hayes manual for the Ectomobile, along with Mark Sumarek, who does a lot of work for Star Wars books.
That's pretty
For
crazy.
me, you'd know that. Not a lot of other people do. So with some of the contacts I have in the local Ghostbuster group there, I've sort of reached out to them, and they're happy enough to we'll give them a call and talk a little bit about how obviously with the COVID coming out, that's pushed back the release of Afterlife to next year, and also they both work. Troy actually works as a producer in LA, so just how this is affecting not just the Hollywood scene, but just the media scene. Lots of downloads going on at home.
Yeah,
My
right.
wife is
Yeah.
working from home, which has been really epic a lot of days. And how is that going to change maybe in the future? Are we going to see movies maybe released more the option of you can just watch it at home and buy it,
yeah.
or are they going to
Straight
release
up
it at theater
digital.
at the same time? Are they going to do
Right.
both?
Yeah.
Right. So that's a fun topic I want to get into later on down the way. But in the meantime, we'd like to thank everyone for joining us, and please be safe out there. If you see two on the shelf, leave one for the next collector,
That's
right, John?
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah.
But hiding is fair play.
That, exactly. There's
Hiding's fair play.
Yeah,
no
if you're
bar on
willing, you do it.
Yeah.
John, any finally words of wisdom there you want to share before we go?
Nothing off the top of
Off
my
the
head.
top of my head?
Nope.
No?
Nothing here, man.
T?
Just a quick little to hear everybody here across from a fandom. We want everybody to know that